Welcome back, everybody, to Waadaplaya Concussion Sub Series. After 3 week long tournament, finally we have a winner, and I think it is a deserved winners. England are the world T20 2022 champions. Sanjay Dubey, you are on the ground in London. How are you feeling, and what is the sentiment out in UK after England outplaying India in the semi-finals? Outplaying is an understatement, but even for Pakistan, and we'll talk about it. But firstly, get your reactions about England win.
Obviously, very happy for Ringing being in London. People do realize this is not even the top five sport in the country. So unless it's an Ashes in cricket, it's quite subdued. I think most people are looking forward to the FIFA World Cup more than the England cricket T20. But anyways, considering it was an early start, I saw Barmy Army gathering in some of the pubs in early morning and then doing some celebration. Otherwise, it's quite subdued. You wouldn't even know walking on the street, etc., that there's a cricket World Cup final happening. So very different to what the sentiment would have been in Pakistan. I'm sure there'll be a lot of disappointed fans, but they gave a tough fight, gave a good account of themselves. So full credit to them. But yeah, congratulations, England.
Excellent. Yeah. Let's do a recap. Again, England won the toss and put Pakistan into bat on a overcast Melbourne conditions. I'm glad that we got all 40 overs for a final deserved. Pakistan put up 137 for 8. Outstanding bowling by England, especially Adil Rashid and Sam Curran. And then England batted chase down. Pakistan put up a fantastic fight, unlike India in semi-final. It took 19 overs for England in a challenging bowling conditions and also fantastic bowling by Pakistan with 6 balls remaining. So Sam Curran was judged player of the match, and surprise, Sam Curran is also the player of the series in the final. But let's talk about. So at the start we spoke about it, saying winning the toss on a final and putting opposition in bat. It was unconventional, but again, horses for courses, as they say in T20. And England thought through well. They knew that their batting was their strength, Sanjay. So, will they be happy with how the proceedings went? Of course, they'll be happy that they won the tournament, but how they got to the winning position.
Yeah, unlike Adelaide and even Sydney for that matter, I think the Seamers had a lot in the game. And you would see even in the game, the India versus Pakistan game at Melbourne, similar conditions. The Seamers had a great game. So I think Pakistan had a relatively decent start. They were only 39 for one wicket in the power play, and then had that acceleration in the 11th over when Liam Livingston was taken down for 15-16 runs. So at 84 for two in 11 overs, I think they're all set for at least 160, at least 160. But then comes Adil Rashid, bowls that googly to Babar Azam, cotton bowled, and that's a maiden over. From then on, Pakistan had no chance of recovery. Pretty much every time they tried to get on a big shot in the square boundaries, a massive, kept on losing wickets. I think they got like 53 runs in the last 9 overs for the loss of 5, 6 wickets. So I think full credit to Adil Rashid first, and full credit to even I would say Josh Butler, because after Livingston going for runs, he didn't get another spinner on. He just went on to Ben Stokes, got those overs in, and boy, Sam Curran, he's bowled a similar spell to what Irfan Pathan did years ago, 19 for 3 in that game, and getting 16 runs in 4 overs in a final. I think that's just killed the game for Pakistan basically. But yeah, 137 was never going to be enough. 15-20 runs more, and the story might have been different.
Absolutely. Outstanding performance. Absolutely outstanding by England. And we know, if you look at Andrew Strauss, Sir Andrew Strauss, who is at the helm, and then Rob Key was brought in last year. This time, the team was in complete shambles. Right, they were struggling for a captain. They were struggling to rebuild. Looking back, the work they have put, and Andrew Strauss always says that in their, I think, cricketing logic, their mission is, can we make England the best ever cricket team under the planet? And if you look at the white ball, nobody can argue that 50 over World Cup, they have gone through hardships and they've rebuilt the team. Now T20 over World Cup, this is their second T20 victory isn't it? First one was under Paul Collingwood, and then in West Indies, and then now under Josh Butler. What would be pleasing for England is that leadership pipeline, which was built after what happened last year in Ashes and also not being in form. So, your thoughts in terms of, is that the template world cricket needs to look at, and what is England doing differently versus the 11 other teams who participated?
So I think that 2015 50 over debacle, after that, the change in the structure, in coaching staff, the captaincy, Owen Morgan coming in and changing the face of how they wanted to play cricket. So very aggressive brand of cricket. 2016, all but for that last over from Ben Stokes, I think they would have achieved what they wanted to. But then they got that World Cup win in 2019. Last year, semi-final knockout game, they couldn't defend, but this year is just sort of a culmination of what started back in 2015 under Owen Morgan. So the transition from Owen Morgan to Josh Butler has been very smooth. What they are doing differently, I personally think, is having at least three bowlers who can bowl 7 to 10 overs, or 8 to 10 overs in the top seven is the key. Having Moeen Ali, who can easily bat in top six of any world T20 team. Livingston on a decent day, he'll give you 2 3 overs. Ben Stokes can give you 3 or 4 overs each game, and then even their bowlers, everyone can bat pretty much. So. Irrespective of what the condition is, I think they've got a bowler who would be able to deliver. Moeen Ali has hardly been used. That's the reason why Adil Rashid, although he wasn't doing really well in the initial phases, he was kept in the team, and semi-final and final he's delivered. So I think they have a lot of depth in their resources. They got Phil Salt at the last moment, with David Milan not being there. Mark Wood has been absent, but even then, you had Sam Curran or Chris Jordan straight away coming in the knockouts and delivering. So I think they've got the complete team. I think in the next 5 6 years, they are the ones to look up to and try and beat them, because each tournament and T20 is an unpredictable format. England, Pakistan both have had their lows in the tournament. England losing to Ireland, Pakistan losing to Zimbabwe, but overall the best team has won the competition. So full marks to England. I think they've got a lot of depth, and going forward they'll be the team to look out for, because they could rule just like Australia did for a good 10-year period. I think they got a full chance of doing it.
Absolutely. And Chitu Shetty from our Facebook group asks about thoughts on England bowling. They kept it very simple, struck to the plan. We covered about how well Adil Rashid stuck to his plan, and I think he was the differentiator, especially the second half of the tournament, even though he was not a wicket taker. But we would expect somebody like a Ravi Ashwin to do that role potentially. But that's one question as to what do you think of Adil Rashid. And second, Mark Wood getting injured was a massive blow uh, ahead of semi-final. Chris Jordan coming and filling him in shows the smartness of the squad England have pulled together. And then also, if you look at the bowling scorecard today, except for that Livingston over, everybody was below 8 runs per over. So, your thoughts on about England bowling setup? And we've always spoken about whether it is IPL, whether it's CPL, BBL, or T20 format, batting wins matches, bowling wins tournaments. So, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think having multiple options is an absolute key. You mentioned about Ravi Ashwin or even Akshar Patel for that matter. If you only have 5 or 6 options, someone going for a lot of runs, you just have to stick with them and hope that they deliver in subsequent overs. So having multiple bowling options, having multiple all-rounders, that depth, and even the bowlers, pretty much everyone can hold a bat. So yeah, all the exposure they've gained over the years playing all these different leagues. But surprise, surprise, Adil Rashid doesn't get an IPL contract. Maybe that'll change going forward. So yeah, I think it's just the a lot of the players are at the peak of their careers. There might be a transitionary phase as well, but even then, you see in the squad you have quite a few new talent. Phil Salt coming in. Josh Butler is relatively young. Moeen Ali is in early 30s. Harry Brook is the new guy in. So I think yeah, a lot of things they wanted to do correctly, have gone well for them. So yes, they missed Markwood. It might have been even more difficult for Pakistan had he been there. But people coming in, putting their hands up, doing a job. That's what it is. And I think it's the big players turning up on the big occasion, because you can have all the talent in the world, but in a knockout, you see again Ben Stokes coming in and handling the chase right to the last over, hitting the winning runs. Semi-final, Josh Butler did that for England. So I think the senior players just turned up on the day when it mattered the most. So all in all, absolutely brilliant for England.
We'll talk about Pakistan. Before we go there, let's look at the journey of England throughout this T20 World Cup. They had a near perfect run through, except for one game. They started the tournament versus Afghanistan, won by 5 wickets. And then Ireland unfortunately lost by Duckworth Lewis turn method by 5 runs. If it was a full game, I felt that result would be England, but DLS method. And then they had a washout of Australia game. They beat New Zealand by 20 runs, again comprehensive win. They beat they beat Sri Lanka by 4 wickets, comprehensive win. And then comes semi-final. Absolutely carpeted India for 10 wickets. And then in the final, putting up their performance. So near perfect when it comes to England squad. So let's now come to Pakistan. Right? Uh, if you look at the performances of Pakistan throughout this tournament, Sanjay, Rizwan and Babar, at least for the first part of the tournament, did not click at all. Given that fact that the heavy reliance of batting on those two, Pakistan coming to the final is a credible achievement.
Absolutely incredible. Yes, they had a bit of luck, but everyone's had a bit of luck. Everyone's had poor games, so it's not their fault that South Africa couldn't bundle Netherlands for a low score and chase them. So it's not their fault. They had the tough games. They beat South Africa convincingly. Then they beat Bangladesh in a do or die situation, and then semi-final they absolutely hammered New Zealand. So yes, the openers didn't do well. Their middle order, big question mark on the middle order, but I think from time to time, different players put their hands up. You had Nawaz, Iftikhar Ahmed doing really well in a couple of games. Shadab doing really well. Then Shan Masood, consistently delivering in the middle order. So yeah, I think they did a lot of things right. Unfortunately, on the big day, their big hitters hardly got any runs. You had Harris who couldn't connect one ball. Poor guy, he kept trying to hit the ball. Got what 5 runs of 10 balls or something. Then you had Iftikhar, massive dependency on him. 6 balls, no runs, and then even who's the other guy? I'm forgetting his name. But yeah,
Nawaz.
literally any Nawaz, he couldn't connect the ball. So I think between them they had like 25 balls for 13 runs or something. So I think that just pretty much killed the game for Pakistan. But overall, very very commendable performance. You saw what how India's bowling was on the other night when they had a relatively low score to defend. Here they were completely in the game. First over, just like BAU, Shaheen Afridi gets Alex Sales out. They had 3 wickets in the power play, but they also leaked 50 runs. I think that was what hurt them at the later stages of the game, because if they had only conceded 30 runs, had 20 more runs to play with, then I think Babar Azam would have been able to, manage his fast bowlers and others, pretty well. And in the end, it came down to, unfortunately, that brilliant catch by Shaheen Afridi. India. Yeah, no India, unfortunately. Yeah, so, so yeah, Shaheen Afridi pulling off that brilliant catch, but also injuring himself, and he couldn't finish his quota, so he could only bowl 2 overs, and that forced Babar Azam to get Iftikhar Ahmed on, and he went for 14, 15 runs, and then that was pretty much it. Otherwise, they might have pushed it even further onto the last over. So, yeah, really tough for Pakistan to take, but I think they can hold their heads high. They've done absolutely brilliantly, and they've, delivered for the fans. As a fan, you cannot be disappointed because they've done really well. Whereas, say, Indian fans would be really disappointed because there was literally nothing to cheer in the second half of the semi-final. It's still hurting.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason why Sanjay says is fans should be happy. If you look at the journey of Pakistan, started with an India game, lost by 4 wickets, and brilliant innings by Virat Kohli, and then lost to Zimbabwe by a run. At that point, everybody had gone off Pakistan and they were down in the dumps. Then they had a little bit of a relatively easy game to get back in. Netherlands won by 6 wickets, beat South Africa, who were unbeaten in the tournament by 23 runs. Duckworth Lewis turn method. Then beat Bangladesh by 5 wickets, and this is when they had the luck going their way, where Netherlands beat South Africa, which is what got them into the door. And then got back into the semi-finals. They had informed New Zealand to look forward for, which again, very few people would have given chance to Pakistan to win. But then they had a convincing victory of 7 wickets, and then they come to final and gave a very good fight with a relatively below par score, and they took the game to 19th over. So Pakistan team should be pretty happy, especially with little contributions in the top, the way they started the tournament, and the way they ended the tournament. Is it fair to say that best two teams went up to the final, or what's your thought there? It's arguable, but whoa, given the circumstances given to both the
Yeah,
teams.
no, absolutely. I think given the circumstances, I would say the best two teams went through to the finals. So let's say, I mean, the only team who potentially missed out was one is Australia, because they had that rain-affected game versus England. If they had won it, maybe they had that extra point, so they'd feel themselves unlucky. South Africa, similar situation. If that Zimbabwe game had not got washed out, they would have easily got those extra points and had a better run rate. But then South Africa didn't win against Netherlands, and South Africa lost to Pakistan as well. So I think it's absolutely fair. And once you're in the knockouts, it's anyone's game. So Pakistan and England both gave very good account of themselves in the semi-finals, absolutely thrashing the opponent. And the final was a close contest. 15, 20 runs here and there, and Pakistan might have been in the game big time. So I would say yes. T20 is a difficult format to predict. No one's had a perfect tournament. Everyone's had some blip or the other here and there. Both teams losing to smaller teams in Zimbabwe and Ireland. But England are the world champions in a tournament where they've lost to Ireland. So that just goes to show that what is the best team of the tournament. So if you've made it to the finals, you've done it, then you are the best team of the tournament, and you deserve to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's talk about the player of the match and player of the tournament. A lot of eyes were on Virat Kohli, a lot of eyes were on Surya Kumar Yadav. Even Sikandar Raza was in the mix. But finally, Sam Curran came through. Uh, merely due to the fact that he did well throughout the tournament. And I'm also glad to see a bowler getting player of the tournament, or I would say bowling all rounder getting a player of the tournament. So your thoughts? Are you surprised? Or are you happy? Are you pleased to see Sam Curran performing and England bowling lineup having that extra edge in the death overs?
Player of the match in the final, obviously Sam Curran. Getting a team in any condition below 140, you have to give credit to the bowlers, and him and Adil Rashid were pick of bowlers. Sam Curran also bowling well at the death and as well as bowling well at the top. So fully deserved player of the series. You can argue whether it should go to a player who's got more runs, etc., but doesn't really matter. Yeah, I would have given to someone who's had a very good tournament throughout, someone who was not necessarily in contention, because Reece Topley was there, but he came in and started delivering. Wasn't required with the bat at all. So yeah, full marks to Sam Curran. He deservedly gets the player of the series. And good that it's a bowler this time, because we've seen so often that the batters would get it. Unfortunately, no one's had that sort of a series where they've dominated with the bat, because it's been relatively decent bowling conditions. So the top order has struggled compared to any other World Cup in the past. But Sam Curran, full marks to him, and yeah, well deserved.
Tournament stats, if you look at it, we had 45 matches which were played, T20 games. Rain playing spoil so sport on few, but relatively good one. Most runs in the tournament is Virat Kohli, and surprise, surprise, right after Virat Kohli, the second most total runs in the tournament is from Netherlands, Max O'Dowd, 242, and then comes Surya Kumar Yadav. The highest score in the innings was Riley Russell, that 109, which he scored in Sydney. Best batting average is Virat Kohli, 98. Bowling stats, 5 for 10, Sam Curran, the player of the tournament. But the most wickets were Hasaranga with 15, and then Sam Curran with 13. Netherlands doing well again, number 3 in most wicket takers. Bast they lead with Netherlands bowling, taking 30 wickets. From a team stats perspective, England had a near perfect tournament, 5 wins in a row. So all in all, Australia would be pretty happy with how the proceedings went, barring the weather in terms of T20 World Cup. Can they call this as a successful tournament, Sanjay?
Absolutely, I think that Melbourne scheduling is the question mark, but it turned out well in the end. If you're playing in any with climate change and all, you can't necessarily predict that the weather is going to be fine. It was only Melbourne that sort of disappointed with the weather. Otherwise, in most of the other matches, it was there, and um, grounds were big. It did capacity wise as well. And it did look like the fans had a great time. And considering this is the proper full World Cup we've had after the pandemic, last year was in UAE, which India had to host. So this time at least, no COVID scare. I mean, we're all over it in effect. So yeah, full marks to Australia for hosting it. I would have wanted a bit more local fans to be there in Australia at the MCG today, but it looked like after they didn't qualify for the semis, they had lost interest, because otherwise I would have wanted MCG to be full with at least 15-20,000 Australian fans. But I don't think I saw any Australian jerseys, barring one or two. There were a lot of Indian fans who had hopefully got tickets to the final, but dominated by the Pakistani fans, as we would expect them to be. So yeah, full marks to the Australian Cricket Board for organizing a very good tournament. These come very thick and fast, so we have to there was a massive break between 2016 and 2021. After 5 years, we had one T20 World Cup, and then we've had back to back two in basically 1 year. So, your moment of the tournament, Suman, if you have to pick one moment.
Moment of the tournament, man. This is a tough one. I think that Glenn Phillips' century was good, and also Virat Kohli's innings versus Pakistan, especially few moments of him. Netherlands winning versus South Africa is another aspect of it. Zimbabwe putting up the performance the way they did. Unfortunately, they ran out of the steam in the second half of the tournament. Surya Kumar Yadav, Sam Curran, Mark Wood, pace bowling. I mean, absolutely brilliant. There is a lot which we can think through. And Gabbar Singh हिंदी में बोलने के लिए पूछ रहे हैं. So Sanjay, we are talking about कि moment of the tournament क्या हो सकता है. So काफी है. I don't think एक moment हो सकता है. आपने जैसे बताया, probably crowds is another aspect. जो भी इंडिया, पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश का गेम्स था और श्रीलंका के गेम्स थे, मोस्टली दे वर सोल्ड आउट. एंड जो भी रेवेन्यू इस वर्ल्ड कप से मिला है, आई थिंक इट वुड बी फॉर द एशियन क्राउड्स गोइंग इन. अदरवाइज pretty impressed. Disappointing for India fans, but क्या कर सकते हैं. I mean, England thoroughly deserved it. Pakistan ने अच्छा खेला है. New Zealand fans will be disappointed too that they lost yet another ICC tournament. And yeah, South Africa missed out. There is काफी team are in reconstruction mode. 2024 में अगला वर्ल्ड कप होने वाला है USA and Caribbean islands में. So you will see कि हर टीम में एक नया फेस रहेगा और नया कप्तान रहेगा और नया अप्रोच रहेगा.
No, excellent. I think जैसे आपने कहा, काफी सारे मोमेंट्स थे ऑब्वियसली फ्रॉम इंडियन फैंस. वो जो हारिस रॉफ जो अपने पेनल्टीमेट ओवर में 19th ओवर में जो दो छक्के खाए, आई थिंक द वर्ल्ड कप पीक्ड एट दैट पॉइंट टाइम. आई थिंक उससे बड़ा कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता था. अनफॉर्चुनेटली इंडिया कुडंट प्रोग्रेस. काफी उसके बाद हमारी परफॉर्मेंस में थोड़ी ढिलाई आई. हम उतने स्ट्रांगली मैचेस नहीं जीते. साउथ अफ्रीका के अगेंस्ट हम हार गए, और जो सेमीफाइनल वाली हार थी वो तो काफी काफी दर्दनाक थी. बट वो जो जिम्बाब्वे ने पाकिस्तान को हराया था, लास्ट बॉल तक गई थी वो गेम. रन आउट जो हुआ था काफी हार्ड स्टॉपिंग था. जिम्बाब्वे फैंस के लिए भी आपने देखा होगा फुटेज हरारे स्पोर्ट्स क्लब से, स्पेशली बिकॉज वो लोग काफी क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पाए हैं. तो बिग बिग क्रेडिट टू देम. तो ये दो मोमेंट्स मुझे काफी याद रहेंगे. बट जो जो सेमीफाइनल वाली हार है वो काफ़ी काफ़ी चुभेगी मेरे ख्याल से काफ़ी काफ़ी सालों तक। होपफुली नेक्स्ट ईयर वर्ल्ड कप जो 50 वाला वर्ल्ड कप है वो इंडिया में होगा, तो ये सब हम दुःख दर्द मिटा देंगे। It should be a big tournament, Suman. So that's the big next landmark event which the Indian fans will look forward to.
एब्सोल्युटली एंड जो भी आपको दुख हो रहा है वो दुख मिट जाएगा क्योंकि अगले फ्राइडे से एक और बायलैटरल सीरीज शुरू होने वाला है न्यूजीलैंड में। हम लोग मास्टर कार्ड कप जीतेंगे संजय, फिर हम लोग खुश होंगे, टेंशन मत लीजिए, काफी क्रिकेट बाकी है। But the folks who have supported us, I think, throughout the T20 World Cup, thank you very much for whoever watching throughout the coverage we have had. We tried our best based on our schedules of covering the matches. I know we couldn't cover all the 45 games, but we did what we can, and we will continue to bring you the content. And remember, it's not just match previews or match reviews. We also do fantasy cricket. हम लोग fantasy cricket भी करते हैं, and then काफी सारे regular cricketing content episodes भी हैं हमारे चैनल पे। क्लिक करिए, सब्सक्राइब, लाइक करिए और अपने दोस्तों को और फैमिली मेंबर्स को बताइए कि हमारे बारे में। संजय, थैंक यू वेरी मच एज यूजुअल। आपका साथ हमेशा हमारे दर्शकों को बहुत प्यारा लगता है एंड योर इनसाइट्स आर ऑलवेज यूजफुल। सो होपफुली यू एंजॉयड द वर्ल्ड कप एंड फिर मिलते हैं इंडिया न्यूजीलैंड सीरीज में कुछ दिन बाद।
थैंक यू सुमन, थैंक यू फॉर वेकिंग अप थ्रू द नाइट्स। एकदम यूएस आवर्स में आई नो काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट है आपके लिए, बट थैंक यू फॉर पुलिंग इट थ्रू।
नो प्रॉब्लम, थैंक यू वेरी मच गाइस, थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग, हैव अ ग्रेट डे।